Hello, my name is Tina Nielsen, Special Projects with Boulder County Parks and Open Space. Today it's my great pleasure and privilege to present the proposed 2022 capital and stewardship projects and ask for your approval. The Parks and Open Space 2022 budget request includes a $1.5 million line item for capital and stewardship projects funded from the county open space sales tax. Capital projects are typically larger infrastructure, construction, or repair projects that fall outside a work group's annual operating budget. And stewardship projects address maintenance backlog or programmatic needs that are also outside a work group's annual operating budget. So capital and stewardship project selection starts with the department's internal strategic plan. Each work group prioritizes projects for the upcoming year based on their goals and objectives. For projects that need additional funding, the project lead creates a project charter, and the project charter documents scope, timing, and demonstrates the project's alignment with strategic priorities. This year, staff submitted a total of 32 project charters, totaling nearly $2 million. These projects go through a ranking process by the management team, and this year 23 projects were selected for funding. A quick note about our ranking criteria. The first four that you see on the slide here are from the 2025 strategic focus, which is our department's overall strategic plan for the next 5 years. And they include cultural relevance and inclusion, resilience, maintenance backlog, and safety. Other criteria that figure into the ranking process include urgency, readiness, impacts, and whether the proper consultations have been taken into consideration. This slide shows a snapshot of funding for the 2022 projects. As you can see, about $1.2 million is going to capital projects and about $341,000 to stewardship projects, for a total just over $1.5 million. Just noting that this is a little over the $1.5 million, I want to let you know that we expect that outstanding grant applications will provide additional funds, and we anticipate that some projects will come in under the conservative cost estimates. And now we'll take a look at project details for each division, starting with agriculture. The Ag division received funding for 5 projects, 4 capital and 1 stewardship. With grants and contributions from operating budgets, their total comes to about $435,000. The Ag division is seeking additional funding from the federal stimulus program. And this map shows the geographic location of the 2022 Ag and Water projects. Now, Jason Sauer and Audrey Butler will provide more details about these projects.
Good evening. My name is Jason Sauer with Boulder County Parks and Open Space. I am a project coordinator for the Ag Division. First project I will be speaking about is the Hygiene Dairy Produce Handling and Washing Facility. The National Food Safety Act requires that our smaller scale vegetable producers upgrade their process to ensure food consumed by the public is safe to eat. This project will help Boulder County invest on our properties to meet those standards, increase efficiencies, improve public safety, all while being more sustainable. The proposed building is 40 by 100 feet, located on the Hygiene Dairy property occupied by Red Wagon Farms. This is a 2-year project, with design and engineering being completed this year in 2021. The project scope is to build a steel building with power and water so the tenant can operate newly purchased produce processing equipment. The building will include a ADA compliant bathroom, space for walk-in coolers, and a hand washing area for employees. The current tenant will rent the new building from Boulder County Parks and Open Space for approximately $10,000 per year to help recoup the cost of constructing this facility. Next project is the Ertl Center Pivot. The Ertl property is leased by Keith Bateman. He grows wheat, barley, and hay. The goal is to eliminate flood irrigation by installing the third and final new center pivot in 2022. Center pivots are much more efficient to install, maintain, and operate than flood irrigation, improving water use efficiency to 98% compared to 40% for flood irrigation. Irrigating with the flood method can cause waterlogging, which can increase soil salinity, an effect that can reduce crop yields and land value. These improvements help to ensure water is not wasted and can help improve soil health and crop yields. In addition to the NRCS grant awarded to the tenant, Boulder County has applied for 2 sources of grant funding to offset the costs. Next project is the Imel and Lagerman Ag Land Rehab. The irrigated fields at the Lagerman Agricultural Preserve and neighboring Imel property are leased for livestock and forage production, primarily perennial grass and alfalfa. Over the last several years, the county has completed the removal of prairie dogs from cropland on these properties in accordance with the prairie dog element of the grassland management policy. The project goal is to return the agricultural land to a productive state following long-term occupation of prairie dogs. Rehabilitation back to former/full productivity will require herbicide application for weed control, leveling burrows, soil prep, and seeding. Focus of efforts will be 230 acres on Imel and 109 acres on Lagerman.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Audrey Butler. I'm the Water Resource Program Supervisor at Parks and Open Space. Our group manages the water rights assets and the associated infrastructure on Parks and Open Space property. Water Resources is proposing to implement 2 well improvement projects on Rock Creek Farm and Brewbaker Sorensen this upcoming year. The wells on these properties need to be rehabilitated and redeveloped to become functioning legal wells compliant with state regulation. These projects combine several components, one of which is resiliency. It provides resiliency for the streams by removing livestock from the streams, and it also provides a redundant source of water for these livestock. In addition, it addresses the maintenance backlog that we have with respect to the groundwater resources on Parks and Open Space, and is part of a larger effort that we have going on to redevelop wells to improve livestock watering and riparian corridor health. So the second project that Water Resources has on tap for 2022 is a water efficiency and conveyance project. The goal of this project is to improve dam safety and water use efficiency at Gaynor Lake and the Howell Ditch on the Whittermeyer property. Both of these open ditches, as you can see here in this picture, are choked by cattails. This prevents the proper conveyance of water and reduces the use of the water that's going through. In addition, at this location at Gaynor Lake, it impacts dam safety. The water you can see in the lower part of the picture is backed up, and that's potentially going to inundate the toe of that dam, which prevents the long-term safety goals of being met as set forth by the state of Colorado. So this project combines both resiliency in terms of improving the water use efficiency and the long-term viability of our farms, and also a safety component at Gaynor Lake by preventing dam safety violations from taking place and ultimately impacting public safety.
Next up is the Recreation and Facilities Division, which includes historic preservation projects. Rec and Facilities has 10 projects, 7 capital and 3 stewardship, for a total of nearly $3.4 million, including grants and partnership funds for 3 trail projects. And here you can see the geographic location of the recreation and facilities and historic preservation projects across the county. Next, Mary Olson will provide details about the Recreation and Facilities project, and Carol Beam will provide more details about the Historic Preservation project.
Hello, Commissioners. I'm Mary Olson. I'm a landscape architect. I will be presenting the 2022 Recreation and Facilities projects. Our first project is the 104th Street Connector Trail. This proposed trail will link Cole and Rock regional trail systems along 104th Street. Our project partners, the cities of Louisville and Lafayette, have wanted this connection for many years, and we do have funding through Dr. Cog's Transportation Improvement Program for the project. The 2-mile stretch will be constructed adjacent to the road, primarily along open space lands, and will run from Empire Road in the north down to our trailhead at Stearns Lake. However, escalating costs for the project for both design and construction have made tackling the entire stretch of trail by the end of next year nearly impossible. So the project has been split into 2 phases with the goal of constructing the northern phase, that red line, by the end of next year. The project does fulfill our commitment to serve our community requests, and it addresses our strategic priority of safety as it will provide an off-road trail experience for users to connect to our regional trail system. The next recreation facilities project is the Colton Trail Improvement Project. A portion of the Colton Trail has been designated as part of the Rocky Mountain Greenway system, and it needs to be upgraded to meet the standards for that trail system. The Colton Trail was originally part of Boulder County's Road 67 and was partially vacated in the late 1990s and converted to a trail. Most of the trail works really well. It's 2.7 miles long and approximately 8 feet wide, but there is one very steep section that does not meet ADA standards or the standards for the Rocky Mountain Greenway. This steep section provides a challenge for trail visitors and often erodes, resulting in high maintenance cost. We have submitted a CPW grant for upgrading the trail, and if that is awarded, we will construct the project. Our post-up commitment for 2022 will cover the cost of conducting a cultural resources survey for the proposed trail corridor, which we need to have completed before construction can begin. Our next project is the Tolland Ranch Trail. As many of you know, in 2015, Boulder County partnered with Colorado State Forest Service, Great Outdoors Colorado, and the Conservation Fund to acquire a conservation easement over about 3,000 acres of the Tolland Ranch property near Eldora. The acquisition included a 6.5-mile trail easement to connect the West Mag Trail system on the east side to Jenny Creek. We were awarded a GoCo Trail construction grant of $350,000 last year, and a contractor began construction this past summer. And that was phase 1 of the project. Phase 2 should be completed next summer by the contractor, and then Parks and Open Space staff will finalize trail work and signage in the following seasons. The project will increase trail connectivity by adding 6 miles of trail connecting users to the Continental Divide and beyond. Our next project is the Twin Lakes Bank Stabilization Project. Twin Lakes, the West Lake of Twin Lakes has been devastated by overuse from dogs and humans, with severe erosion along the shores of the entire West Lake. The widening and eroding trail system is damaging tree roots along the north edge of the property, and the loss of soil along the entire shoreline has created multiple safety issues. Staff will address these issues by stabilizing all the eroded banks with soil riprap and erosion control blanketing, and then public access points will be improved and formalized so that dangerous areas can be completely shut off with fencing, and we can control access a little bit more along the lake. The project will address our maintenance backlog and safety issues. Our next project is expanding parking at Hile Valley Ranch. The Cowwood fire has given us an opportunity to reevaluate the parking in the main lot, where we hope to add a few spaces and where we will install stone curbing throughout that main lot. As you know, the pandemic accentuated trends of increased visitor use, and Hile was no stranger to that trend. So we hope to also increase capacity by designing and constructing a new lot on the south end of the property near Left Hand Canyon Road. We'd like to add 20 spaces if we can, and of course expansion of parking will mitigate law enforcement activities and issues, along with the maintenance issues that come with illegal overflow parking. Our next project is the Sign Standards and Messaging Manual. We recently hired a consultant to create this manual for our parks, trails, and open space lands. We want to upgrade our signage and adopt the use of international symbols and icons to communicate many of our messages, and we want to continue our crisp goal of developing effective communication with the Latinx community. The consultant will provide recommendations on the wide variety of signs we post on open space properties, and was just recently awarded to the design firm Meeksenar, who created the wayfinding signage at DIA. We are really excited to have them on board, along with their local sub-consultant, Marina Lagrave. The project will fulfill 2 strategic priorities, both cultural relevance by translating appropriate signs into Spanish and adopting universal icons, and safety. The project will improve safety by providing clear, streamlined signage and messaging for all open space users. Next up, we have Castle Rock climbing improvements. The Boulder climbing community and Front Ridge climbing stewards have been working on climbing access near Castle Rock for the past 3 summer seasons. Currently, there are a lot of social trails in the area that are not sustainable. So the goal of this project is to consolidate and harden the trail system to allow more sustainable access to climbing routes. This would be the final phase of the project. Front Range climbing stewards making improvements to this area and have engaged numerous volunteers, and the Boulder climbing community has funded several weeks of work for this project. So this is a partnership we want to keep going. It engages volunteers, consolidates use in the area, and restores areas that have been impacted negatively. Next project is the LoBo Trail Resurfacing Project. Portions of this trail that connects Longmont to Boulder were constructed about 20 years ago and have received minimal maintenance over that time. We get many reports of the trail being below grade with water ponding issues in numerous locations after it rains. Resurfacing a couple sections of the trail next year will bring the trail back up to our standards and will minimize the water ponding and the freezing that can happen after precipitation. 3 sections are slated to be resurfaced. The Cottontail Trail from North 71st Street to the City of Boulder's Cottontail Trail, a stretch at 79th Street to Niwot Road, and then a section from 63rd Street, the 63rd Street underpass, to the Twin Lakes Dog Park area.
Hi, my name is Carol Beam. I'm the Cultural Resource Specialist, and I'm here to present the 2 historic preservation projects for 2022. Both projects address the department's maintenance backlog and support our safety initiatives. Finally, both historic preservation projects occur on 2 of our most historic barns. The top project for 2022 is the Walker Ranch Hay Barn re-roof. The barn is highly visible on the property, and the bleats have been constructed between 1890 and 1930. The wood shingles have been blowing off and failing for numerous years, and the project can no longer wait another year before it causes structural damage to the barn. The project will replace the deteriorating and missing wood shingles with new fire-treated wood shingles and can be completed by our Buildings and Historic Preservation Work Group. Fire-treated wood shingles are the preferred replacement material in order to retain the barn's historic integrity. The second historic preservation project is foundation repairs to the 1881 Lower McIntosh barn located at the Agricultural Heritage Center at the Lower McIntosh Farm. This highly visible and publicly accessible building requires foundation repairs in its southwest corner in order to fix the concerning bulging that is a result of the negative drainage in that area. This project will be contracted out but overseen by the Buildings and Historic Preservation Work Group. This concludes the historic preservation projects for 2022.
And now on to the Resource Management Division, which encompasses the forestry, ecosystems, and public education categories of our capital budget. The projects total just over $606,000 with 4 capital and 2 stewardship projects. And the county funding is leveraged with a $245,000 grant for the Sherwood Forestry project. And here you can see the locations of these ecosystems and public education projects. And now we'll hear more details from Stefan Reinold and David Hurt.
Hi, my name is Stefan Reinold. I am the Senior Forestry Resource Specialist, and I'm going to talk to you about our Caribou Sherwood Gulch Forestry Project. We have $102,500 earmarked from the 2022 POSIP fund. It's a 2-year project across 100 acres. And we hope to have it under contract in the next few weeks. We did award the bid to Summit Forestry. This project is going to reduce overstory density while promoting a shift towards a ponderosa pine forest. We want to create a mosaic of forest structure, which means we're going to have individual trees here and clumps there and openings as well. We want to have a diversity of age class, size class, and species on the landscape. We are going to utilize some funding from the State Fire Assistance WUI grant, which was awarded in 2019. And this project is going to actually also produce biomass that we will use in our biomass heating facilities at the OSTC complex and at the Boulder County Jail. Our second project is the St. Vrain Forestry Yard, and we are asking for a little over $85,000 from POSIP funding. In 2013, we had a storage location known as our Alaska Yard, and during the flood, a lot of logs went down Main Street in Longmont, and Longmont no longer wanted us to store logs there. And we've been struggling to have locations to store this material so we could process it easier for our biomass facilities. So this St. Vrain Forestry Yard will alleviate that problem. The project involves building access and a road into the site, some visual screen plantings, and also looking into putting sound barriers to minimize the impact to others. This is still in the land use process, and we hope to have it approved in early 2022. Thanks.
Hello, David Hurt here, Senior Plant Ecologist, and I'm going to present 3 projects in both POSIP and Stewardship funds that fall under the umbrella of the Ecosystems Group. Nearly all of these address a backlog of maintenance issues and resilience of our ecosystems and wildlife in the face of a changing climate. The first is a project to control cheatgrass on 350 acres of Hall Ranch, just west of the town limits of Lyons. This would be an aerial application of Rejuvra, previously known as Esplanade, that POS has been using for years now, with dramatic results in controlling non-native annual grasses and other weed species. In areas we've used Rejuvra, we've seen an increase in perennial native flowers and a subsequent increase in pollinator use. It has also dramatically released shrubs, allowing them to put on much more seasonal growth, increasing the available browse for wildlife. It also reduces the thatch and fine fuels that cheatgrass provides, thereby potentially reducing the spread of wildfire near an urban interface and addressing our strategic focus on safety as well as the other targets of maintenance, backlog, and resilience I mentioned earlier. The second project actually encompasses 2 projects, both recent post-flood stream projects on St. Vrain Creek that restored sections of the stream itself while constructing new and improved water diversion structures. These structures allow not only for more efficient water delivery to users, they also allow for fish passage for our native warm water fishes, many of which are species of special concern. There's been a lot of players in these projects, a lot of different stakeholders, and we realize streams are dynamic systems and can change dramatically in a single large flow event. So this funding enables us to have some dedicated money to allow for adaptive management to ensure that these unique projects continue to function in future years beyond any construction warranties, both for the water users and for the fish. The Bush Pond project is a wildlife-focused project that seeks to improve habitat for the northern leopard frog, another species of special concern within the County Comprehensive Plan and a Tier 1 species with Colorado Parks and Wildlife. The bush property is along Marshall Road between Cherryville and Superior. This pond's, I think it's visible right from the road. This is a collaborative project with OSMP. Populations of northern leopard frog have been declining, and this area represents a good opportunity to increase available habitat, especially in light of a changing climate. The bush pond is adjacent to a population of frogs on OSMP lands just downstream, and our hope is by improving this pond, primarily by reducing the presence of cattails, that the frogs can colonize this new habitat and utilize the connectivity between the 2 areas.
Hi, it's Tina Nielsen again. I'm filling in for Pascal Freed, who leads the public education category of the capital budget, and she's on medical leave right now. This project will fund a consultant to develop long-range interpretive guidelines for our Agricultural Heritage Center, Nettleton Mining Museum, and the Assay Office. These plans will update the educational themes to better reflect a more inclusive human history in Boulder County using culturally relevant language. The plans will also assess and update programs, signage, and training materials. The goal is to complete the planning documents by the end of 2022 and begin implementation in 2023. A second phase of plans will be developed for Walker Ranch, Homestead, Altona School, and the Cardinal Mill Museum in future years. So that brings us to the conclusion of our presentation of the 23 proposed capital and stewardship projects, totaling about $1.5 million of sales tax funds. And as this chart shows, these county funds are leveraged with grants and partnership contributions of nearly $2.9 million for a total project cost of over $4.4 million. This is an ambitious work plan for 2022 and could not be done without all the dedicated work of our staff. And these figures do not include the value of staff time to these projects. So finally, this map shows just how all this work is spread across the county. I'd be happy to try and answer any questions you may have, and we are asking for your approval of these proposed projects. Thank you.